Hi, very warm welcome. June from Mathstyle. I think when stories go misheard, then I think it's always a good idea to give them a second, plug. And that's what I'm going to do here. This is a CNN report that was done a day ago. And I think the woman on the left is Jess, the middle person is the reporter, and the woman on the right is Beth. And I'll just give you Beth's account of what has happened to her business. She had a shipping container that was due to leave yesterday from China. She paid the tariffs on that, which was £30,000, and now the tariff costs are £200,000, and she simply can't afford it. So the container or whatever it is, her products that are for her business that she sells in the United States have been left in China, probably going to incur storage costs for those as well. The big thing here is it's the uncertainty, the changing of one thing from, this is what small businesses and large businesses are trying to deal with, is the rate of change coming from the White House with regards to tariffs. Just over the last 2 weeks, we've seen how tariffs have increased in China. And then there was the announcement, which I think is really suspicious, and I'll tell you what happened if you don't know. Trump announces 2 hours before he's about to pause tariffs on all the other countries apart from China. He announces that it'd be a great time to invest money in the stock market. Now think about that. He got the knowledge, he's telling people to invest, and 2 hours later, he reduces the tariffs and the S&P increases, and obviously people have made a fortune out of that. So, yeah, he had an inclination, an opportunity, and obviously motivated to give insider information out. It's highly illegal to do that. He is being investigated over it, but no doubt we know what will happen. Nothing. Because he owns all the courts now and all the judges. And the big point here is that small businesses like Jess and Beth's are going bankrupt. She's got 2 months worth of stock left. She just got a contract, I think, for Walmart, which is a real big thing for any small business, to supply them on a large scale. And she has 5 employees. After that stock runs out, she no longer has an income, and she has secured a home on the loans that she's taken out, to get this far in business. So she's going to go bankrupt. She's very likely also going to have a lot of damaging consequences to her credit ability, and this is what is happening right now all around the world. But a lot, we're talking about just Americans at the moment, what is happening in America on the ground to real business owners and small entrepreneurs. And so as long as these kangaroo tariffs, hopping from one thing then another, then going back and then going forward, it's the instability in this and nothing being set concrete in place and allowing businesses to acclimatise to that is what's causing the severe problems. And it's going to get worse. Over the last few days of not doing any videos, I've just been observing what's been going on the ground in the United States. And, the cost of living crisis is just as bad as it is over here in the UK. With people saying, they earn, a modest income or salary, and it's just not covering the bills, and the food costs, energy costs, home tax is just incredibly high. Can't remember where the guy lived, but he just paid his winter home tax at a cost of $4,500. So that times that by 2, that's $9,000 a year just on home tax. And then you've got all the other taxes. Apologies, I've got a dry cough at the moment, but This is causing instability in America. It's causing instability in Europe with Donald Trump changing his mind, rapidly over, a concession of days or weeks, not allowing businesses to adjust or acclimatise to these changes, and then he changes them again. And of course, companies are going to do what is happening in China now. There is on a lot of the textile businesses in China, in a lot of the one of the main provinces, which has got a nice adjacent port there, so it can ship its goods off to all around the world, including America. It shut the factories down and laid off the staff. They've said, wait till further notice. Now, Donald Trump's plan here is to get businesses back open in America, which is okay, because there's been a decline in companies opening up, and obviously there's been a lot closed down over the last decade. So there's nothing wrong with that. The only thing is, with a lot of the big factories, chip factories that manufacture computer chips or electronics and cars, is that they take a couple of years to be built and actually come online. So where is America going to get the products from meanwhile, when they was importing so much from China in those markets? How are they going to overcome that? And the other problem further on down the road will be is, how much will those components cost to be made and products to be made in America, when the salary differences are so vastly different? So if you look at someone in China, they're probably happy at the moment, or not happy, but they've got no choice. They will work for it. 3,000 yen, which is around about $400 or thereabouts. And we know that Americans won't work for $400 a month. So, when you put the American salary on the products that are being manufactured in America, who are they going to be competitive to exactly? Actually not America, because it's not America's fault. It's the White House fault. The instability in the market, the bad decisions I think that are being made, the lack for respect for e-commerce around the world that has evolved over, centuries. Well, actually decades. Not centuries, but at least decades. Gradually evolved. You can't just switch off like a tap, because you will cause problems like what these ladies are experiencing. And that is what I think is well worth a mention in today's video, just to reimburse the stories that real Americans are talking about. They're talking about the cost of living crisis, how much taxes they're paying, and how this will impact them tariffs, and how it will impact businesses. And by not getting enough time to acclimatise to these changes, is going to damage businesses across America and the rest of the world. So it's not looking good. And when then you add on things that also cause instabilities in market trading, like the possibilities of looming wars, then I'm talking about Iran now, with what Donald Trump has says, they will get obliterated. The posturing of America at the moment, sending its B-2 Spirit bombers to Diego Garcia, is not good for trade either. And the only way this can stop is if there's stability, and the only way that stability can emerge is if Trump stops doing these kangaroo tariffs. I did mention this, and I still don't think America quite understands what's happening with these tariffs. these tariffs are coming back on the American people. If there's a complaint about the cost of living crisis at the moment and the products are too expensive to purchase, then in another month's time they're going to become even more dearer. And I'm absolutely right on this. If not, you are feeling the pinch right now. You will do in a month to two months' time. And I'm quite good at my analysis recently. I predicted the American stock market crash. I got it right. I said within a couple of hours you're going to see this happen. Actually, I said, I think it was Saturday, I put the alarm out and it happened. It started to happen Monday. And that was a once in a 25-year dip in the S&P and other American markets. So think about that. You know, I'm not that bad at making these predictions and getting them 100% right. And I was absolutely, you know, you can check the videos I did on this. I was 100% right. And I predicted more than 70 hours in advance that this was going to happen. So, and I believe we're not out of the woods yet. There's worse to come, but it's not good. You know, what we need to do is figure out a way to fix this problem, short term and then in the long term. And if there is unfairity in the global markets, then the way to resolve that is diplomatically, as is everything else. Anyhow, guys, it would be ace if we could get a few people support the channel. You know, I noticed we had a lot of whingers in the last few videos in the comment section, but it's not just here on this channel. I'm not sure whether they're just cyberbots that are making these comments. I wouldn't be surprised, or you know, the general mentality of people is not very happy because of the everything else that's going on in the world. And you know, it's easy to take it out on somebody else. And you know, I follow the Canadian prepper. He's having a lot of trouble with this, and I won't mention all the others, but they're having a lot of trouble as well. And if you, the other thing to notice is if you have a look on YouTube, when real stories emerge like this one, have you noticed the level of views it gets? It's like an instant tap being put on it, and that tap being switched off, or you know, being switched to a drip. And that's the algorithms that have been changed recently to manage anything that might become harmful to any government around the world. Doesn't matter which one, any. And that shows you where the system is at the moment. You know, and you know, the only worrying thing about that is when you start controlling information, you know, you end up acting in a fascist way. And we don't want to see that fascism return that we saw in the 1930s, because it was ugly. And it started off, as it always will do, you know, when someone don't want something to happen, you know, it starts off by, you know, regulating information. And then, you know, as we saw in 1930, it led to mass death. And the erection of, you know, war camps, like in Auschwitz, Poland. So, you know, very dark days that we're in at the moment. Yeah, there's a link there if you want to help support us. It'd be good to see a few people, you know, bang in a few bucks, you know. And the only other thing to say is, you know, if there's anything important to tell you, we'll talk about, you know, I'll get it to you. Give me your thoughts on what we've talked about in this video in the description. But really, sorry, not in the description, in the comment section. But really, if you've got nothing positive to say and it's just horrible comments, then, you know, I'd rather you disappear yourself off the channel. Don't ever come back, because I don't want to hear that negativity, and I don't think anyone else at this point in time does either. So, as always, bye for now.